Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction. It is Thursday. I am Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by the patient Joe Hulbert. Joe, how are you?
I'm tired, man. I mean, we just had a very stressful production meeting. Technical difficulties are one thing. I expect them, but like just us battling back and forth and trying to get our topics on this show, right? We both come to the table just to pull the curtain back. Jeremy and I, every week, we come together and have 50 topics each to discuss. And we have to whittle it down to, 5 or 6. And just the push and the pull on that is something else. So it's been stressful. We're happy with what we got. And I'm looking forward to the show, as always.
Everyone, Fightful.com, sign up to FightfulSelect.com, exclusive news. Sean has done a bunch of news on a TakeOver, the big Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole match, which we're going to talk about. Joe is very excited for this match, as you can tell by his reaction there. FightfulSelect.com, best way to support everything we do, Fightful.com. Joe, do you have an NXT feature for this week?
I do not. I'll say this though, guys. If you like NXT, know that I actually Googled the card in sort of a pretend effort that I cared enough to come up with an article. Then I looked at the card and decided against an article. So no article, but at least I thought of it. Normally, not even a thought. So there you go. Take that as a victory and then leave with it for now.
You should have done a big article on Karrion Kross. If you needed help with that, Carlos would have 100% helped you out. Carlos Toro. We do a bit in the chat where he has to cover NXT every Wednesday because I'm covering Dynamite, and they ran 3 video packages for Kross. He was in the car at the end of the Gargano Ciampa thing. He attacked Ciampa. Carlos had to write an article for all of this. None of this was an official debut, and Carlos had to write an article for all of this. And Triple H did his media call today, and we were like, someone should ask Triple H when Karrion Kross is going to debut, and we were going to have Carlos write an article. I was like, Triple H says Karrion Kross debuted a month ago.
So I can't remember when they were doing the teases. They were nameless, right? They didn't tell you it was him, even though we kind of all. Okay, yeah, that is the one part of what you guys do that I find to be just hilarious in every way. the little mini updates, like when Brendan Vink shows up on Raw, main roster debut.
Yeah,
come and see. Here we go. I love that, and of course, Jeremy, and my favourite of all is the high hopes for new tall man on roster. My favourite report in all of wrestling by far.
We don't have to do the high hopes stuff. No. Thankfully, we don't go that deep into things. But yeah, we do when Brandon Vink gets squashed by Aleister Black in 2 minutes on Raw, and it's Brandon Vink makes his WWE Raw debut, main roster, big things.
Piece of history. Piece of history, man. When one day someone's going to trace it back when he's main event in WrestleMania. By the way, I'm only half joking on that one. Listen, crazy things happen. They're going to trace it back. You'll be like, here he was, Jeremy Lambert's article about this in whenever it was, 2020. It's what it's all about. You're marking these things in history. I love it.
Remember that Vink and Thorne tag team?
Red hot. And they had the heel manager MVP, who's now just forgotten about them. He has a better client. He's had enough. But yeah, I wonder if they'll circle back. Were they in the crowd at Raw, or were they?
I have no idea if they were in the crowd at Raw.
If they were, I sense that team is no longer. But hopefully I'm wrong. I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks. Or maybe not. Maybe never. Who knows?
The gimmick for the Thursday show, we put 5 minutes on the clock. As Joe said, big things in store for this week. It was a battle to get what we wanted on this show. We actually narrowed it down to just 5 topics this week.
Wow.
Because we just had so much to say on these topics that were we know we're going to go over time. We always go over time. I think we should just do 5 topics this week instead of the usual 6 or 7.
Yeah, so just think about the 95 topics that you'll never hear. You'll never, ever hear those 95 incredible thoughts that filled our notes sections this week and came to the show with to no avail. They were sent back to the cutting room floor. But these 5, boy, they're going to hit, folks.
I do record our pre-production meetings, and I'm legit just going to release them all at one time so people can just see.
I think you've got the wrong approach. I think you should keep them and in 10 years sell them to Netflix for a documentary series or ESPN. Even better.
Sure. That's a way better idea. Look, if I can make money off of this gimmick, that would be much better than just giving them away for free.
It could be the last. What would be our last? The last John Cena defense? the last mic. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's up to the audience.
The last technical issue.
Yeah, that'd be fitting.
Who would be talking heads in our documentary? It'd just be like us and Sean and
the wrestlers. All Vince McMahon. He copies all their ideas.
That's true. That's true. Tony
Khan. Like the ECW one where we get like retroactive praise for being influential. But we never got it. Well, like it just happens in hindsight. It cuts to like Eric Bischoff being like, "Man, they were ahead of their time." That's it. That's all you get. But I mean, I'll take it. That'd be impressive. If we managed that, Jeremy, we have done very well. I must say.
We're gonna get started with Drake Maverick and Jeff Hardy, two things that you always put together when you hear those names. On SmackDown, Jeff Hardy was arrested for alleged DUI, alleged hit and run, and this of course plays off Jeff Hardy's real life personal issues where he has been arrested for DUI. And then on NXT, Drake Maverick, this has been an ongoing thing for a month and a half now. Drake Maverick was in the cruiserweight interim, I don't know. No one's actually clarified that. They've changed it a million times. Title tournament. He got released. He posted a video where he was understandably upset and dejected, but he was going to continue to do the tournament. They turned that whole thing into a storyline. He did not win the interim/not interim cruiserweight title, but Triple H came out and gave him the big contract at the end of NXT last night. Joseph, where do you stand on NXT WWE using real life issues to put on screen?
Well, I think they're very different cases for a range of reasons, right? That's an understatement. I think it's fair to say, but yes. I sense the Jeff Hardy thing is like a he's been framed deal. By one of the main bullies of the SmackDown roster, Jeremy, is my guess. I would assume that is the case. I would hope that is the case, and it is not an actual DUI angle on national television. But, I mean, if that is the case, it's fine. I'm not going to pretend I have a major issue with it. I mean, it would be better if Jeff's issues were not so, like, current. Like, it's not been that long of a time since we had the last report, right? Like, it's not been super long time. So, I don't know. The thing with Jeff is it's always one of those things where they want to kind of use that stuff to flesh out the whole charismatic enigma character, and that is always a little bit off in its own way. But if it's just a deal where he's wrongly accused of saying that Sheamus did because he was eliminated from the Intercontinental title tournament, then I have to admire that just as a wrestling angle. The pure silliness of it is enough to make me kind of ignore the tastelessness. You know, it's fine. I can get through it. The Drake thing. This one is tough to tackle because I'm happy for him that he's got a contract. I like Drake. He never deserved to get let go to begin with. However, it opens up a whole can of worms, right? Like, can you take any release seriously going forward? What does this mean for the poor guys that actually lost their job? What if they'd have posted a video on social media, they'd still be there? I don't know. All this stuff sucks. I'm just happy for him, so I almost don't want to rain on his parade, but it's not ideal. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I posted last night that I was happy for Drake Maverick because
yes.
It's good for him that he's able to get back into WWE through all of this. But for everything else, for everyone else, it's I think Leo Rush basically said like it was a slap in the face because people actually got fired over this. Like people actually got released over this, and it wasn't an angle. And I don't even like it, Drake Maverick said it in his interview, his WWE.com interview, where he was like, I got the opportunity, I took it, I ran with it, others didn't take this opportunity. It's like no one else had that opportunity. And I'm sure this was direction from WWE. I don't know if Drake believes this, what was going on there, but no one had the opportunity. He shouldn't have been released because they'd already announced him for this tournament. So you either have to follow through with that or you just pull him from the tournament, which could have happened. It wouldn't have been, I don't think it would have shocked anybody if they were just like, well, he's released now, we're just going to pull him for this tournament, because the tournament hadn't started, so they could have easily just pulled him. But he posted the video, it blew up, he got the opportunity, he did the most with it, which is good, but at the same time, like, they did turn it into this. It's not that he did the most with this opportunity, it's they turned this into the opportunity for him.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that some of the guys on the list of names released are like the absolute poster boys for making the most of your minutes. You know, like, I mean, obviously the Zack Ryder story is famous, right? Like, he's a guy who got himself over and got punished for it, basically. But even a guy like Heath Slater, anytime they gave him TV time, he would hit, right? Like, we're not talking about guys that just wasted every opportunity. He was given 100 main event pushes and fouled. They're all talented guys that just wasn't given enough opportunity for the most part. You know, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but yeah, that quote isn't great. I would assume, I'd assume that's his kind of, I don't know, kayfabe spin on it as a character. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm sure he has a reason for saying that. I don't know, but it doesn't sound good. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, the Jeff Hardy stuff. It's a wrestling angle, so yeah. I get that. I'm with you that it seems like it's going to be a setup thing. The whole story is Jeff Hardy's redemption. You know, the line everyone loves to say is, let's see how it plays out. Wait till it plays out. So, you know, maybe Joe, Jeff Hardy in the bottle that they found, you thought it was a liquid. It was actually an empty bottle. It was nothing but his imagination.
This joke will not be effective for legitimately 3 more months, and that is only for the people that watch our TW series. But I just want to say I knew where you were going, and boy did you keep going. That was something. But yes, you're correct. It could be the case. You're right.
Could just be all an imagination. Could just be a big old dream that Jeff is having here. I agreed with CM Punk's take actually on backstage.
He doesn't pull any punches.
No, he did it
straight.
Look, I'm gonna give WWE Backstage credit for this week. It was actually good. They talked about the Jeff Hardy angle. They talked about the issues that are going on in America and have been going on, and they did a CM Punk Daniel Bryan interview, and they released the full 30-minute cut of that, which is excellent. It was actually a good WWE Backstage this week. It did not make me feel like I wasted an hour of my life, which is typically how I feel Tuesdays at 11 o'clock. But Punk essentially just said, this doesn't work when they try to do it. They did it with Hawk. They did it with Scott Hall in WCW, and neither of them turned out very well. This typically just does not work.
But didn't... I may be misremembering. Wasn't Punk's program with Jeff first? It was, right?
Yeah, and Punk mentioned that. I think the difference is Jeff wasn't, because they did not really similar, but Chris Jericho wanted Punk to drink and poured alcohol on his face and everything. But they didn't with the Punk and Jeff Hardy. Maybe I'm wrong, but there was no allusions to Jeff was drugged up or drunk or anything. They just talked about it, similar to the Samoa Joe stuff, where it's they'll talk about it, but there was no allusions of he's actually currently using.
True, I think you're right. I'm pretty sure you're correct, but I would assume this was a Sheamus has been bringing it up all the time. This was his way. I assume it's Sheamus. It was his way of fooling the audience that Jeff's done it again, kind of deal. I would just assume that, and if that is the case, look, if that still is bad to you, I totally understand why. It's definitely not high art by any means, nor does it deserve a Twitter thread. If you're writing one now, stop. But I got to admit, you just mentioned some examples, in the world of wrestling where there's so many just tasteless angles, Sheamus framing him would not be one. It's just a matter of whether that actually is the angle, I guess, right? That's really what it comes down to, for me anyway.
Right. If the angle is Jeff has fallen off the wagon and is now drinking again,
not ideal.
No, that's very poor. But if it is Sheamus framing him, then okay, it's a little bit more understandable because it just comes off as a dumb wrestling angle that may or may not work. It's probably not going to work for a lot of people, but it's a little bit better. It's a lot better than, hey, this guy's actually drinking again and legitimately, or in the wrestling world, legitimately hit somebody. By the way, the acting in that segment on Friday, I think everyone is going to get an Emmy for that one.
Who's worse? Jeff's Elias scream was incredible. Extraordinary piece. I mean, Braun was bad, though. Real bad.
Braun was bad. Jeff's scream was bad. The cop was the worst, though. That cop where he just, he gets the bottle and he just looks at it And he's like, yep. Yep, smells like Jeff Hardy. And then the paper falls, and he reads it. He's like, Jeff Hardy? Is there a Jeff? Like, he's calling his order. His order is up at wherever he goes. Like, Jeff Hardy, order number 15 for Jeff Hardy. Like, that's how he called his name out.
I like the way that like the WWE producers were just like accepted police officers for that minute. They were just like all together. Jamie Noble was in like, get him, yeah, he hasn't done nothing. Jason Jordan was in there. I liked and I think I'm the only one in the world that said this, but I liked the follow-up segment where AJ was just being the absolute peak wrestling dick. He was like, so what? Who cares? Who am I wrestling? Where's my boy? What's going on here? But yeah, I like that segment. I didn't think it was... Man, I have way too much faith in them because I legitimately don't. I'm certain I'm right about this angle. And the fact that I have any confidence in them doing something that isn't like totally offensive says a lot about me, I think. I'm a fool. I really am a fool, Jeremy.
You're an optimist, and I appreciate that. You have not learned from years of history, and that's a little bit concerning.
It is, and it will become a trend as we get deeper down the distraction path. It will become a trend. But for now, I remain confident in my guess, at least.
Next topic is, so we're going to talk about Backlash this week a little bit, because next week I will actually not be around. We're doing a special show next week. Hopefully it turns out. We have not recorded anything. It could be a complete disaster, but for right now, we're going to say it's a great show and everyone should watch it. But Backlash is in 2 weeks, Joe, and a monumental card we have going on here. We have the greatest wrestling match ever between Edge and Randy Orton. We have the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. We have the Raw Women's title match between Asuka and Nia Jax. And you informed me of this. I did not realize this was on the card until you informed me during our production meeting, that Braun Strowman is defending the Universal title against John Morrison and The Miz. I'm still not sure if you're lying to me on that, but I'll take your word that this is also on the card.
Yes, I'll go one step further and tell you that not only is this on the card, it is being framed that Miz and Morrison are insane for taking this match. Like, Miz lost to Braun, and Morrison was like, well, put the belt on the line in a handicap match. And Michael Cole was like, what's wrong with these guys? They reason they can beat Braun Strowman in a handicap match? You wonder why the tag titles mean nothing, right? You wonder. But this card is going to be one of those shows that in many, many years, people look back on when they do their watch-throughs of 2020 WWE. God bless that person, whoever he is. He isn't watching this now. They're going to be like, why does everyone not talk about the fact that this show was called the greatest wrestling show ever? Like, in the sense of, every graphic has greatest wrestling match ever, right?
Yeah.
And the whole branding is like the greatest show in music and all that business. So this is going to be something. I think the Edge and Randy thing is going to be an angle. I think I've said this a million times, but you know what this night's about for me, Jeremy. You know what this night's about for me, because it's finally time, folks. It's time for Bob to shoot on someone in the WWE ring. This is the time. I want a double leg takedown on an arm triangle submission. Let's get out of there with the title. That's my plan. That's MVP's plan. We're going through with it.
He did an interview, and I tagged you in it, where, because you mentioned this on the show a couple weeks ago, and this match was announced, and Lashley legitimately said, like, if I just want to shoot on this guy and take him out in 2 minutes, nobody's stopping me. And I was like, Lashley just watches our show, as everyone in WWE does, and realized Joseph is correct. I should just shoot on him, take him out, become the champion.
He will be a hero. Imagine him doing that on a basically an empty arena pay-per-view, and he just leaves the title and goes to Bellator and defends it against Czech Congo. This is my plan, folks. This is my plan, but I think Drew and Bobby will actually be pretty good. It is interesting that the Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley with MVP thing is like directly taken from 2015 TNA or something like that. Like, this is something I've definitely watched before.
On Impact this week, I don't know if you watch the show. I'm sure you do as a professional.
Yeah.
But every single week they do like this Impact flashback to plug their Impact Plus network. Like, see all these great matches on Impact Plus. And this week the flashback legitimately was Drew McIntyre / Galloway against Lashley for the TNA heavyweight title. It's like, this is something, that match you're about to see next Sunday, you can watch this on Impact Plus right now from 5 years ago.
It is amazing because that was even after there was an era of TNA where it was just everyone would say it was like they had the best roster and the show sucks. Remember that period where it was like when after Hogan had come in, that deal where they had a mix of every great wrestler ever. The era of which Drew and Bobby wrestled isn't even in that time, but they were still doing it. They still had people that would end up, Drew, I guess, in fairness, they tried a lot with Drew and Bobby. They both pushed them quite strong, right? So fair play to them on that. But this is time now for Bobby. I'm pretty sure Bobby won that TNA match. He's going to win this WWE match. There you go. He's the Dominator, right? Is he still the Dominator? He has the Master Lock now as a finish, folks. It's over. It's finished. It's done. It's Bob's time. We're ready to party.
Joseph, I don't know if you know this, but Drew McIntyre has been in bar fights. And he has said, he can just knock out a guy like Colby Covington. I realize Bobby Lashley is much bigger than 170-pound Colby Covington. But I think you're selling McIntyre a little bit short here. That he can, The problem is, I think McIntyre can scrap. If this is like a street fight or something, I think he might be okay, get a lick or two in. But the takedown is, that's the game changer.
It's the end.
McIntyre can't really do anything about that takedown, I believe.
Yes, I mean, all he has to do is ask any of Bellator's, journeymen that poor Bob just mowed over. They all tell him, listen, when the takedown, that's the end of the fight. But this show is probably going to be bad, Jeremy. I'm going to be honest with you. This could be one of those shows that has me doing the old hashtag cancel the network deal and writing threads about, this impact on my struggles mentally with the WWF. And then the next day I'll go, Raw was good, which is a constant problem for me. But look, I hope it's good. I find it quite amazing that since they went back, a few years ago, went back to the double brand pay-per-views, right? Both Raw and SmackDown. And I feel like the builds have just got worse and worse because both brands realise, we just got to think 4 matches on this thing at the end of the week. It's almost, I don't know, man. The pay-per-views feel like a secondary thing now. It's almost.
Are they going to do a cinematic match for Backlash? Because they did, obviously, the 2 at WrestleMania. They did one at Money in the Bank, and that's what people remember from these shows. Right now, they don't have any type of cinematic type match set up, and if they're just gonna give us empty arena wrestling, I don't know if that's gonna work, especially with the matches they're trying to put on in this empty arena wrestling.
The thing is, it is better with the NXTers. It is better. It's like watching a studio show now. Before, it was actually, you feel like you're watching something you shouldn't be. You feel like you'd snuck in somewhere. It was very uncomfortable to watch. But now, I don't mind it as much now. I'm with you, though. I mean, it is important to remember that the last pay-per-view was 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to... Maybe the pay-per-views are just this now, man. Maybe the TVs just exist as they do, and then they're like, okay, just give them a few matches for the pay-per-view. I don't know. It feels that way, right? We were speaking off air, and it's SmackDown this week has the women's tag title match, which we're going to get to. And next week, it has AJ and Daniel Bryan. Meanwhile, Backlash just is there, and they're like, we've got Braun and Miz and Morrison. I don't know what the deal is. It's different now, I guess.
I would imagine that they're just going to do, a screwy finish in the tag title match, the women's tag title match, and they'll rematch at Backlash. And then AJ and Bryan, they'll probably give us a finish, and then they'll just do the rematch anyway at Backlash. And it's just that match is really good. Here, we'll just do it again because why not?
Well, I am thinking what else could be... I guess they could do Seth and Black again on the pay-per-view, right? They could do that. It seems like something they would do. Apollo pins Andrade every week. I assume they're not doing a rematch.
They should do something cinematic with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders.
No.
Here's what I want, Joe. This is my pitch right now. I can tell you're going to love it. Street racing with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. Go full Fast and Furious with this. And that's what you give us at Backlash. You're in on this, right?
I am as in on this as I've been all the other ones. So in that sense, sure, man. At this point... Go for it. I haven't got a problem with those segments because I am aware that the Viking Raiders had just died. It just is over, wasn't it, for the poor guys? So if this helps them, good for them. But I'm not going to pretend that I am thrilled to see what has happened to these poor fellas. It's very sad. I've got to say, the tag team. This is the thing, right? The tag team ranks are it's so up and down. like the month after WrestleMania, the SmackDown tag titles felt like they were all over the show. And now I feel like I haven't seen them in ages. I have. I just forget these things exist. The tag team thing just vanishes at times. It's happening here. I don't consider that tag team build, Jeremy. What's happening on Raw? I do not consider that build for a wrestling match.
I legitimately forgot that the Street Profits, they are the Raw tag team champions, right? Yeah. Like I'd completely forgotten that during all of these segments. Like, oh yeah, these guys are like actually the champions. So here you go with the street racing though, Joe. Mm-hmm. So you put the titles on the line. The winners, they get the titles. But the Viking Raiders have to put something on the line as well, because if the Street Profits are putting up the titles, what do the Viking Raiders put up? They will put up their Viking heritage, okay? So if the Street Profits win, the Viking Raiders can't be the Viking Raiders anymore. The Street Profits win. What do the Viking Raiders do? They fall in love with the street racing. This is like now their ultimate goal is to just become like street racing. You put them in leather jackets because we all love the leather jackets. Yeah, this is where I'm going to sell you the leather jacket stuff.
Yeah, now I'm starting to get it.
Yeah. And the Viking Raiders just become the street racers. So you got the street racers against the Street Profits, and that's your feud that carries you on for years upon years and headlines WrestleManias all over the world.
That conclusion is far more of a conclusion than they'll reach when these skits end. You know that, right? Like, you do realise in a month's time, I'm going to be able to say to you, do you remember the street? And you'll be like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's what's going to happen. But I appreciate your effort there. You've laid something out. I don't know, I won't comment on what it was or how good it was, but it was something. And we'll see. I assume that match will be on Backlash. But if you want to do a street race, then at this point, feel free. Cinematic wrestling is the future, guys. The future.
If you want more great ideas like that are not thought out at all and 100% off the top of the head, check out the TEW series every Saturday, where
the
very little thought
changes. Yes,
very little thought goes into at least my booking, and that's why my shows are great every single week because there's no thought that goes into it.
The more planning, the worse is what we've learned from that. Now I understand why Bruce does so good. He just rolls in, gets a notepad, he's like, right, what are we doing? Okay, go.
The Braun and Miz and Morrison thing, here's a hot take. They should put the titles on Miz and the title on Miz and Morrison.
No, yes. This is where we go into wrestling podcast land and we lose ourselves forever. Because this is going to be said a lot over the next 9 days, whatever it is. You know that, right? We're going to see this take, or we're going to see threads about it. We're going to see it explain that John deserves the moment. I love them. They're my favourite ones. Do you remember when Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental title and people were like, man, he really deserved that moment. I was like, yeah, that 3-on-1 handicap title will go down forever. We'll all remember it. It's just, look, I don't know. It sucks. I'm not anti-Braun, Jeremy. Even though I did not pick him in 40 slots in the draft, I like the man. I think he could have been a big star for them.
I think really not picking him is 100% better than me picking him and what I'm actually going to do with him.
I agree. I think he could have been a genuine star. And I wanted to see them use this weird opportunity with him as champ to try. They have, come on, this stuff's been terrible. Bless him. I mean, the Bray stuff was okay, but they've gone away from that now for this. This is pure prelim nonsense. This is very bad. So I feel for the big fella. The match will be, it'll be what it'll be, folks. It'll be what it'll be. I assume Braun Strowman will win. I assume.
Look, I think they should put the titles on Miz and Morrison, not because of any type of moment for John Morrison. I just don't think Braun Strowman is a good champion, and it's not his fault. It's what they've done to him. So if you're gonna make this title like a wacky everyman type deal, give it to Miz and Morrison and let them do a bunch of stupid skits.
Sure. I mean, I just find this is really cool. I kind of knew they were out on Braun a little bit. It was obvious, right? You didn't have to be an insider or a scoopster, Jeremy, to know that they're kind of the high hopes had diminished for Paul Braun. But this title reign is really kind of locked in. They just see him one way, and they had a chance to kind of reshape it, and they've not at all. I mean, we said about this the other day, but him being the guy that was there in that Jeff segment was so telling. I thought I really did. I just thought it was they would never have done that with a guy they saw as larger than life or whatever. So I don't think he's going to be long for that belt, but I would assume it extends beyond Backlash at least.
And he'll win. The Fiend will come out, and then Braun will like cower in the corner or something.
Yeah,
because
he'll get the shakes again.
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen to conclude Backlash. I hope that match is the main event. Just headline with that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I hope they go like 40 minutes and do a 30-minute heat segment on Braun's legs, with Miz doing like the figure four and all that. So that'd be good. I'd like that too.
Yeah, John, Mr. Perfect Morrison can do some great technical wrestling with Braun Strowman. I think it'd be great.
That is peak JBL. JBL will have comparisons. I honestly listen to him. I think no other person in the world has come up with what you just mustered up. Like when he was doing Goldberg, and he was like, it reminds me of George Foreman winning the title in '96. I was like, no one else in the world said that. But I really appreciate the effort, John. I really do.
We said we'd get to the women's tag team titles. The match is tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
You're the women's tag team title expert. Okay. Yeah. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross against Sasha Banks and Bayley. Joseph, do they break your heart and put 2 belts on Bayley?
Before we get to that, I want a question for you. How close do you think I am to being on WWE Backstage as the official women's tag title correspondent? Because I think I'm edging very close now.
You have to be, because
yes.
We do a segment on the women's tag team titles and a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden these things are important again. So Look, we know Vince and Tony. We know they watch. We know they steal our ideas from TEW that haven't even aired because they've hacked into the computer somehow. We know everybody's watching this show and taking our ideas, and they're saying, look, if the distraction is talking about it, if they're giving it time, maybe we should start focusing on it a little bit more. So
I agree. I think we're there. I agree with you.
So 100%, you're going to be on Backstage. You're going to be on After the Bell pretty soon, talking with Corey Graves, all about the women's tag team titles.
Okay. What a podcast that'll be. Will they break my heart? I'm going to be honest here, and this is breaking character here, folks. I'm very sorry. I think there is some credence to the idea that you do a title switch here. Wait, don't go wild, don't block me, don't burn the portrait of me that hangs over your computer desk, don't do any of that stuff. Here's my pitch. Title change here, and then at Backlash do a 3-way with the Iconics. Then, Jeremy, listen to this is very clever. Do you have the belts put on the Iconics? Because who was the team that took the belts off, Boss and Hug last time? The Iconics, right? WrestleMania in the multi-woman tag. It's history. It's a callback. Full circle. That's how you start the issues. And then you still have Iconics versus Elektra and Nikki to do for the tag titles. That's what I would accept. However, if you intend to do like an actual full tag title reign, just because you don't want to do a Sasha and Bayley in this PC, I will get very angry. I'm going to admit, I don't need more of this stuff on the show. So it's interesting. I hope they treat it as a main event match and give it time, but we will see. It's probably the best way to look at this, I think.
So your grand idea is for them to essentially rehash everything they did last year with Boss and Hug win the titles, lose the titles in a multi-woman tag team match to the Iconics, and then the Iconics feud with Bliss and Cross, who I would assume take the titles off of the Iconic. You realize you just rebooked 2019.
Yes, I'm very aware.
Okay.
But I'm looking at what you have, and I'm like, so if you're under the assumption that the SummerSlam match is Bayley and Banks, right? At worst, this is smart booking because they're going to steal a match here. Maybe a TV main event, I don't know. That is not going to be available for much longer, right? We have to assume that Bayley and Sasha aren't going to be a team forever. So it's smart.
I don't know. Why would you make that assumption?
I don't know. High hopes and all that. So I'm open-minded to it. Now, what I will say is, with Becky being out, it feels as though they need to widen the horizons a little bit here and spread their kind of who they're focusing on. I don't know if Bayley 2 belts is the answer to that, but in fairness, like Elektra and Nikki are established, so would it be hurtful? Probably not. But then again, poor Nikki lost to Billie Kay clean on that. That was very disrespectful. I'm not a fan of that.
Look, she's a champion. The champions always lose. Like, this is what they do.
To be honest, the best thing for the belts would be a 15 to 20 minute main event on SmackDown in which you do a clean finish. Jeremy, which continues the Bayley Banks dissension while elevating your women's tag team champs. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to laugh immediately. You can let me get together. And one thing I will say is, we just spoke about the other tag teams. Whatever your thoughts are on these belts, and boy have they been something, right? They aren't all that different to the men tag team titles.
No.
The tag teams just suck, and not the actual teams, like the way they're done, right? So I don't think it's a women's division thing as much as it's just, I mean, they were on both shows this week, right? At least they're trying, sort of, maybe. I don't know. It could be worse, Jeremy. It could be much worse.
For the record, I laughed when you said main event at 15 and 20 minutes. If I'd known you were going clean finish, I would have laughed even harder because they don't do that, Joe. Don't know if you've watched the product, but they don't do long matches with clean finishes on television.
I guess. I think, believe it or not, I think there's a chance this could actually be a really good match. And, you know, it always is fun to me when Banks and Bliss wrestle. And
this was the first empty arena match, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And anytime Banks and Bliss wrestle, it's like you'll inevitably see tweets being like, "That was good." Yes, it will always be pretty good, guys. I know this is stunning to you. Alexa is not Tamina. Okay, no disrespect to Tamina. I know she watches the show. I'm just saying this will be good. It's just a matter of how good they want it to be and how good they let it be. Basically, is what it is.
They're not gonna let it be good. They're just not. They're 100% not, because they've not cared about these titles from pretty much from WrestleMania 35 on. They've not cared about these titles at all. I think they did care for that first month, and then that moment they were just like, yeah, these belts are whatever.
But you have to realise, I don't know if you noticed, I'm being very optimistic today. I'm not cancelling people. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not saying they're doing problematic storylines. I believe in Bruce, is what I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying right now. I believe in Bruce. SmackDown is the A show, the blue brand, and I will not doubt them. I trust they will give me what I want here in this SmackDown tag title extravaganza, or women's tag title, I guess.
Joseph, it is the final week of NXT talk on this program. We have banned it. You have banned it for if they don't deliver the house set on Sunday. By a lot of indications, we might get the house set. Doesn't matter, folks. We're banning this program. Okay, I'm making the call right now. We're banning this program. It's it's not that great. But NXT Takeover is this Sunday. There's some matches. There's Gargano against Keith Lee for the North American title. There's the Queen, Charlotte Flair, against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley for the women's title. Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream in a cinematic type match for the NXT title. Damian Priest against Finn Balor. I believe that's on the card. You wouldn't know it. If you do watch the product, you would not know it. There's a 6-woman tag team match as well. NXT, Joe, the last week we got to talk about it.
I think the show has got better since we said we were going to ban it. Now, not enough that I will not ban it, but I do think it's more proof that we're being watched here. I'm just going to say that.
That show last night wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Sure, but like I don't know. I think the women's triple threat will be very good. I think Keith Lee and Gargano, she will win 100%. In fact, I think that's an interesting conversation. We'll get back to that, but I think Gargano and Lee will be great because Johnny, whatever me and you may think of his heel stuff, is a tremendous wrestler, and I think he'll pretty easily have a great match with Keith Lee. The main event will probably not be watched by me ever, so who cares about that, right? The 6-woman tag is, I don't know, sure, it's a very in-your-house tactic, just doing a random tag just because, I guess. I mean, they built it, but like, it's a 6-woman tag. You know, it's not kind of what you'd expect. It'll be fine. Cross and Ciampa is interesting from a booking perspective.
That's on that card too.
Yeah, that's interesting from a booking perspective because it's like, will they smash crossover? I don't know. But I want to get back to Charlotte, bow down and all that, okay? I think Charlotte should win this match, and I'm not doing a bit. I'm not doing hashtag bow down. To me, you have to have Rhea beat Charlotte in singles. I feel this is the way. I'm sorry, folks. Io Shirai is tremendous. I'm aware. I don't know. To me, it's such a wasted experiment if you do all this and it's just loses in a triple threat. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Rhea Ripley's gonna pin Io in this triple threat, and that's how they're gonna get out of Charlotte. Actually, look, she put over Bayley on SmackDown. Queen ain't losing, but so many times a month, Joe, and she already used up. I guess technically that was a loss in May, but regardless, she already used up her loss for the month, so she ain't losing 2 matches in like 2 weeks. Just ain't happening.
I mean, I know that you used put over there as just meaning like she lost to her, but like you cannot lose to someone without putting them over as much as Charlotte did in that match. So she was like, she got rolled up and just laughed. She's like, she beat me. What a joke. But
look, anytime Charlotte loses, she's putting somebody over. It doesn't matter how she loses. It's her star level is so far above everybody else that a loss means you got put over. It could be a count out loss. It could be a disqualification loss. Doesn't matter. If you beat the Queen by any means, you have been elevated. Joe, the Queen is on such another level that even if you don't beat her, if you just go 10 minutes in a competitive match with her, you get elevated.
That's what I've heard, yeah. To be clear, because I see people are getting very angry about Charlotte now, and I understand, but it's getting a little bit heavy, okay? We are not suggesting she's going into business for herself. It's not what I'm doing anyway. Jeremy may be doing that, I'm not sure. But what I think may have happened here is the Becky news may have them a little bit panicking as far as what they're doing with these divisions, because, look, folks, Asuka is tremendous. But when you look at Raw, they probably need Charlotte back. I know they don't actually need her back. What I'm saying is, with how they produce TV, they'd probably need her back, right? So I think there's a chance they wanted to keep her away, but without Becky, they'd rather just put Charlotte back in than build up or elevate someone. I think that's actually what's happened here.
Without Becky, they have Asuka, Nia,
Shayna.
I'm not counting Shayna. I'm sorry.
Bianca Belair's off the show, so yeah.
Bianca Belair got expelled. I have no idea what happened to Bianca Belair. She went there, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, her transfer credits didn't work correctly or something, and yeah, she doesn't go there anymore, Joe. Shayna's not on the show. Has she been seen since Money in the Bank? Oh, she beat Natalya a couple times, and then
Natalya got
in the triple threat match. It looked like they were trying to do a heel turn with Natalya.
I think they are.
I have no idea. Ruby Riot's still around, but she hasn't won a match since her return. Liv Morgan is apparently around. Like the Raw Women's division, it's good. They're not doing anything with it.
I would assume the two routes are either you do Asuka and Shayna, which I agree with you. At this point, Shayna appears to be on uncertain ground, right? It appears that the ice is starting to creak under. I don't know where they're going with Shayna. I don't know. The other option is they're starting to make a thing of this deal where Charlotte always beats Asuka. Is there a chance, Jeremy, that they build to Asuka finally defeating the Queen? #bow down.
No.
Oh. Okay. I'll just check. I'm just checking in on that. I wanted to make sure. In that case, I will stick to my guns. I think Rhea needs to beat Charlotte in a singles, and I would trust Shayna to have good matches with Asuka. I think she can do that, and then some. So, Liv Morgan too. What do you know? I assume there's some plan in the back of someone's mind.
Why?
Yeah,
would
true.
you assume this?
I assume there's some plan in the back of someone's mind though. That there's a story to be told with Charlotte and Liv. The question is, when? Oh, when will they get to that story? It could be any time in the next decade. So, I don't know. It also depends, of course, on when they're shaking these rosters up again. You know, when they shake them up, Jeremy, where they just switch the rosters totally and then have the same matches on opposite shows. When will they do that? Because that is important too. There appears to be some imbalance here. SmackDown has lost their ace. Raw has lost their ace, so to speak. So, it'll be interesting to follow. I personally, as much as people will hate it, this doesn't feel like the time for Charlotte to drop it. But they may just want it back on Raw full time. I don't know.
I like how it was supposed to be NXT talk, but it's the most distraction thing ever that we've banned NXT. We tried to talk about NXT, and we just talked about the Raw Women's Division. And
that was the perfect send-off for NXT, wasn't it? We just totally... I mean, in fairness, though, we can only do that because of the Charlotte stuff. Like, they've brought that on themselves, right? We can blame them for that, I think.
Look, the Queen transcends NXT and all brands. That's why she's the Queen. Hashtag bow down.
The brand-to-brand invitational was literally invented for her and then disbanded as soon as she was upset with it. She lost the match on SmackDown. She was like, never again. And they were like, see, it's finished. It's finished. Ended rule.
Our final topic, Impact. At the end of Tuesday's show, they announced Slammiversary for July 18th. During the teaser, they teased that WWE superstars, released superstars, could be coming in. They had Rockstar Spud slash Drake Maverick, Anderson Gallows, EC3. They had a Bulgarian flag, so people took that as Rusev, Maria, and Mike Kanellis. We know Drake Maverick's not coming in. That's something we can confirm here on The Distraction, that Drake Maverick will not be part of Slammiversary as a live competitor. He might be in a video package or something. He will not show up as an actual competitor for the show. But Joe, what did you think of this video package and the tease for Impact?
I'm torn between this is smart and this is like the ultimate Impact move. Right? And of course it's Slammiversary, the show that is there to recognise the history and celebrate the great past of this promotion. And as many people have pointed out on social media, the build for it is which WWE guy will show up. And obviously, I know, guys, TNA fans, Impact fans, I'm not actually dissing you there because I know most of these guys, some of them anyway, were TNA before. But it's an easy joke. Let me take it, okay? The Drake thing shows their hand, right? Because there was a few of us that were like, maybe they've got all of them. And now it's like, oh no, it definitely is a deal where they've just thrown some names.
Who were those people who said maybe they've... Oh.
It was happening.
Okay.
You remember here, there are very few running promotions, right? So some of us, I'm putting myself in this group, okay? We were under the belief that perhaps they were going to have guys come in and just do like one night for them. Because there's nothing else to do for these guys, is there? You know, it's kind of... So I thought it was on the table, but the Drake thing now just is absolute confirmation. They've just thrown some guys up in yet. Now, what I will say, Jeremy, and I know you're waiting with bated breath for this, about 8 years ago when we started the podcast, we were talking about, NBA franchises and their wrestling equivalents. And I think we came to the conclusion the Knicks are Impact Wrestling. Bless their hearts, okay? This is the ultimate in that comparison. Because this is the equivalent of, and they did not do this, to be clear to them, but this is the equivalent of like on July 1st, when the free agency opens up, the Knicks posting a video of like, who will we get? And it's like Kawhi, and it flashes Anthony Davis, all these guys, and then it's just Julius Randle will turn up on the at the press conference with his jersey. And that, in that case, I think I'm predicting that like Aiden English is just going to appear on commentary. Like, I'm here. I'm here in Impact. So, look, in all seriousness, I hope they get some good guys because I watch almost every wrestling show at this point, in the sense that I've caught up on the ones I was not watching, and Impact remains the one that I have not touched, even though it's still running. So I hope they get someone that makes me want to watch the show because apparently it's good. That's what I hear from the people. So we'll see, I guess.
I would say the shows are fine. I don't know if look, the empty arena shows, they're always going to be capped. Like none of this is like actually that good. I do think the shows were good before all of this stuff happened, but once all this happened, it's tough to do these kind of shows with the empty arena. I did see people say like, oh my God, Impact spoiled the Drake Maverick match. Like he's going to Impact. Like he's definitely not winning now. And I mean, technically they were right. Drake Maverick didn't win, but he still signed. I would assume they have, and this is me being optimistic now, I would assume they have assurances from at least one person in this video that, okay, they're going to, maybe it's just EC3, maybe it's just Eric Young. It's like, oh, Eric Young, he's back in Impact. Cool. I would assume they have assurances from at least one that they're going to show up and make this big surprise return. I'm with you that this could just be a total Knicks situation. Scott D'Amore is, I guess, Tom Thibodeau now. He's about to coach the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
To where it's just July 1st, we have all this cap room. Look who's out there: Kawhi, Paul George, Anthony Davis, LeBron. Kevin Durant, Kyrie. We're going after him. And then 24 hours later, it's like, we got Taj Gibson, folks.
Yeah. Can you actually read the list again of who they put in this promo? Because I'm not sure I've watched the promo. I've just heard a lot about it. Who was actually in it?
EC3, Eric Young, Mike and Maria Kanellis, Gallows and Anderson, Drake Maverick / Rockstar Spud, and then a Bulgarian flag everyone was kind of alluding to that being Rusev.
Okay, Eric Young seems like a lock, right? I would assume.
Yeah, Eric Young certainly seems like he will be there. I could see Mike and Maria potentially showing up as well, just because I don't know if... Because you are right, one thing that works to Impact's advantage is there aren't many shows running right now.
No.
So even if it's a one-night thing, you can kind of get away with this. But if it's a one night thing, people can show up, and with not many companies running, people like Mike and Maria Kanellis might just be like, okay, what else are we gonna do? Like, if they're willing to pay us right now, why
Exactly.
wouldn't we go and do this show? It doesn't have to be a long term deal. Like, I can't see them ending up in AEW. Same thing with Eric Young. Like, I don't know what Eric Young's place is in like AEW. I would be disappointed if like all these people just joined Impact, and it's not because I wouldn't be happy for them that they've been making money. It's what we talked about a few weeks ago. I want to see people like get spread out, and once all this ends, like I want to see Gallows and Anderson in Japan. Let Mike and Maria go back to ROH. Eric Young and EC3 can go to Impact. Like let people spread out a little bit after all this.
That was the ones that you just listed there. What I would guess. So I think EC3 will probably be like the headline addition. I think they'll get him and Eric. Mike and Maria is a good call as far as a one-off. I think you're right though. What you kind of alluded to there. I feel like they're going to go back to ROH. But again, all of this is just speculation. I don't know. This stuff is it's tough, right? You're setting yourself up for a failure almost, aren't you? You know, I hope they've got something in their back pocket. Basically, is what I'm saying. I hope it isn't going to just be like a. I don't like when it becomes the LOL TNA thing. It seems unfair at this point. I don't want them to give me the ammo to do that bit. I don't want you to. I'd rather it just be a good show and I'll watch it another time. But it feels like it could be one of them scenarios like the classic Blockbuster sign and it's Rikishi in 2007. You know? They've done this before. They've made many errors like this. It was many regimes ago, granted, but I'm always hesitant with these things.
Look, they're bringing it upon themselves with the LOL TNA stuff because they've legitimately brought back like the TNA title, and they're going full bore into TNA. So it's on them if we do LOL TNA again.
I mean, I don't think we will. I mean, let's be honest, Jeremy. If this thing bombs, we're just never going to talk about it because I won't watch it. You may have to watch it. I will not. So, like in that sense, if you're a TNA fan, be happy because the only way we talk about this is if it's a success. So you win either way. You either never hear again, never hear our baseless criticism on mine anyway, or it goes well and we talk about it and we rebrand the distraction. Right? We could do that. We've done it before with Ring of Honor. Remember we came Team Ring of Honor for that a couple of hours there, maybe a minute, maybe. So anything can happen, folks. They can turn it around.
That is going to wrap it up today. The NBA is coming back apparently at the end of July. So sooner rather than later, hopefully, if everything goes well. Now there's like 3 million cases. I think it's like 1,500. There's like 1,500 new cases in Florida because Florida opened everything back up and people, they weren't ready, obviously. So delays could easily happen with the NBA. But if the NBA comes back, we'll get back to talking basketball on this show, which I think people enjoy more than the wrestling talk.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot, Jeremy, because I'm excited. And I'm wondering how long does my excitement last before that Al Horford 3 back rims and I'm just like, I I hate everything again. I want to know, do I get through a full game before I like just throw it in again? Because I'm fully aware that people I follow are going to be doing the Fire Brett deal within 2 minutes of play. It's going to be like, no new plays. What's he been doing all this time? It's going to be bad, man. I'm telling you. This is my caution with this deal. I'm very scared about that part.
See, when we started the podcast earlier this year, we were in like with the NBA, we're in like the mid-season lull. You know what I mean? Like January, yes. February, March. Like teams don't really care at that point. It's All-Star break and stuff. Like things really start to pick up after the trade deadline, and we only got like 3 weeks of basketball after the trade deadline. We were ready for the playoff push, gearing up, and like that's when the hot takes come. That's when our mental health deteriorates because we're watching these games going crazy over it. So if they're going to bring back basketball and it's like straight into an 8-game playoff push and the playoffs, it's going to be some times here on the show.
I'm just very interested to see how long we celebrate, me and my 6 fan friends, how long we celebrate the return of basketball and Ben Simmons before calling him a coward on the social media. So I'm interested to follow these things. Hopefully I enjoy the games too. That would be a benefit. But for the most part, I'm just tracking the dialogue here on this one. So yeah, it'll be fun. We need some distractions, so to speak, Jeremy, right? That's what this is called. We need some of those. We don't ever get distracted because we're distracting everyone else. That's the way it works.
We'll be back on Saturday with our latest TEW series. It is Backlash. We are at Backlash for me a week early. I promise you this Backlash card is a million times better than what WWE. We ran down the Backlash card for WWE just a few moments ago. You heard the card. I'm giving you Bret Hart against AJ Styles. Okay? Look, that's the only match I need to tell you, and it's better than anything WWE is giving you. So you're getting that at Backlash for the TEW series. We'll be back next Tuesday to review Mr. Nanny to complete the Hulk Hogan extravaganza trilogy. Next Thursday, none of this has been recorded yet. I could be completely lying to you right now. But we are doing a kind of banter show. We're going to have hopefully a couple of guests on who have never been on this program, which means it's not Ricky Starks because that's the only person who's ever been on this program. But we're gonna have a couple of guests on. Hopefully things work out. We've not recorded any of this. I might be lying, and I don't want to lie, but that would be total distraction move. Joseph, where can the people follow you?
Before I get to that, I want to warn everyone: we did not get the Undertaker for an interview, guys. No. I know I mentioned we could. We did not because we couldn't, in fact. I tried. I reached out as a bill. He's had enough talking about the last ride. He didn't want to do it on here, unfortunately. Okay, so just to be clear, while it is not Ricky Starks, it is also not The Undertaker. So that should help you in your investigation.
It is not Luther either. I know people were probably like, oh man, maybe they've gotten Luther. It's not Luther. So
Tell me about it.
Here's a story real quickly. I reached out to the Boston Celtics PR department. I wanted to get Enes Kanter on the show to talk wrestling, and I haven't heard anything from them. So Boston PR department, Celtics PR department, if you're listening to this, and I know you are, please return my email. Please let Enes Kanter come on the show so we can talk wrestling and Thunder basketball. And maybe I'll ask him about what it was like to take Al Horford's spot.
Wow, that was a news story to me too, folks. I missed that bulletin. That would be. By the way, it is also not. See, now you've really messed us up here because I try to lower the expectations, and now they think you're reaching out to like all these NBA teams and you're throwing messages. They don't know who's going to be on this show. Anyway, my Twitter is JoeHulbert5. I will unretire from article writing for Backlash. I will write about Backlash, suggest articles, send me money, whatever it may be. And I think they may be good, folks. I'm going to write about Bob, I think. I'm going to cover the King Bob.
Do you think he will retweet this one, or will he just like it?
He retweeted the last one.
Okay.
So, I mean, Bob is a very honest guy, very sincere.
That's true.
Now, last one I was like mostly complimentary. This time I'm going all in, pushing all the chips on the table. So I assume we'll get a retweet, but I would really like, if he's watching this, I know he is, a quote tweet with some kind of cosign would be just tremendous for the brand. So either way, I'm happy.
All right, everybody. You can follow me at Jeremy Lambert 88. Check out the TEW series on Saturday. We will talk to you then.